Hey guys, I hope all is well. Thank you for joining me for this Truth Talk episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Albert Pike and the undeniable proof that the Masons worship Lucifer. But before we begin, I just wanted to let you guys know about my Patreon. If you guys support my channel and want to further show your support, you can by joining me on Patreon. When you become a Patreon member, you get access to exclusive videos that are not allowed here on YouTube. I know times are hard, and I completely understand those that can afford it right now. But for those that can spare $3 a month and want to further support the truth movement, consider joining the Patreon. Not only would you get access to several exclusive videos, but you would also be supporting the channel at the same time. If you would like to join, you can find the Patreon link in the description of this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, Truth Network, as I recently dropped a new video over there that you won't want to miss. You can find the channel also linked in the description of this video. Thank you all. Now let's get right into it. Have you ever asked yourself what the Freemasons are and what they actually believe in? Are they a religion or just a club for old rich men to hang out? What do they do in their buildings that they call Masonic lodges? You might have heard either two different viewpoints when it comes to Freemasonry. Some people believe that they are nothing more than a club for old rich men to hang out, socialize, and network amongst each other, while others believe the Freemasons are secretly Satanists who are working together to bring forth a new world order under the rule of Lucifer. In order to discover the truth, we must look into Freemasonry's past. Freemasonry has been around since before any of us watching were even alive. It's an ancient society of secrets that most of the world knows nothing about. It is documented that Freemasonry began all the way back in 1717 in England, but in reality, Masonry goes back way further than that. It has been long speculated that the Freemasons are really the continuation of the Order of the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were a Catholic military order that grew massively wealthy and powerful back in the year 1119 during the Middle Ages. The Templars were so wealthy that they were becoming the elite, even bigger than the Catholic Church. Eventually, the Templars were destroyed by Pope Clement V, who discovered that the Templars were not about the worship of God at all. The Pope had discovered that the Templars were actually Satanists who worshipped a deity called Baphomet. Baphomet is a representation of Lucifer, and it was said that the Templars sacrificed to it and were also performing sex magic rituals. It was even reported that in order to be initiated into the order, one had to deny Christ 3 times and spit on the cross as well. On Friday, October 13, 1307, the Templars met their blazing end, but not before a few prominent members escaped. These members dropped the Templar name and eventually formed the Freemasons. If you were to ask a Freemason if Masonry was connected to the Templars, they would most likely tell you no. Freemasons and their supporters tried to deny that Masonry started with the Knights of Templar. This is because it was already proven that the Templars worship Baphomet, and that's why they were destroyed. The thing is, it's easy to discover the Masons' connections to the Templars. For instance, the Masons have a youth program for boys called the International Order of the de Molay, which is named after the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, Jacques de Molay. The Freemasons also have a sector, or a Red Lodge as they call it, called the Knights Templar, which has its own rituals and degree systems within it. Why would the Freemasons name themselves after the Knights Templar if they were not connected to it? They literally named their Masonic lodges for boys after the Grand Master de Molay. The Masons even use the same terminology as the Templars, as they call their lodge leaders Grand Masters, just like the Knights Templars. Their lodges are also crafted after the original Solomon Temple, where the Templars first met. The Freemasons are definitely the continuation of the Knights Templars. Masons, just like the Templars, give their worship to the goat deity Baphomet. This is why the Freemasons used to tell the new initiates they were now riding the goat. The Freemasons are the Knights Templars, and they give their worship to Baphomet. This organization isn't just a club for old men hanging out. It's a society of secrets, packed with powerful members who for the longest have controlled our world. On this channel, we often talk about the Freemasons and their goal for a one-world government. We talk about their plans that are currently in motion, playing out right in front of us. Throughout the years, we have been able to uncover the truth about our world. We know the Masons are the hidden hand behind the scenes, pulling the strings of our world leaders. We have learned that at least 15 presidents have been confirmed Freemasons, but I believe all US presidents are Freemasons or are at least associated with it. Our first official US president, George Washington, was a Freemason himself. Just think about how important that truly is. The first man elected as the official US president was a member of the Freemasons. It's also important to note that all but one of the US presidents are related, a part of the same bloodline that connects them to King John Lackland, who is a part of the royal family. This means that the leaders of this country are connected to the leaders of England. Not surprising at all, the royal family is Masonic as well, and to this day they play an important role in Masonry. It's all one big bloodline connecting all our world leaders. Also, the US founding fathers Ben Franklin, Paul Revere, John Hancock, and John Marshall were all Freemasons as well. America itself was created by the Freemasons. They even nicknamed it after the Masonic Creole, calling the US the land of the free, which really represents the land of the free and accepted Masons. If you look at the back of the dollar bill, not only does it say a new order of the ages in Latin, but this is also under the Masonic all-seeing eye, the main symbol of Masonry, which represents the light of Lucifer. The Freemasons also took over the country of France, even causing the collapse of their government when it was discovered that a Masonic lodge called P2, or Propaganda Duo, was in control of the country back in the 1980s. Even the mob was associated with this Masonic lodge, as the movie The Godfather 3 was written about the story of the P2 lodge. I am not going to go fully into that in this video because it's a long story, but if you guys want to see a video on the P2 lodge in France, comment France below. For those who think that Masonry is just a club for old men to socialize with no power, how do you explain any of that? We must follow the power trail to see where it leads us, and you will see that it always leads us to the Freemasons. Now that we have disproven the lies about Masonry being innocent and harmless, we must talk about what they truly worship. Do the Masons worship God like they claim, or do they worship the devil like they're accused of? In order to answer that, we must first understand what is the purpose of Masonry. The Freemasons are men who are chasing enlightenment to be as gods on earth. Through the teachings and rituals of Masonry, they believe a man can go from a mortal to a god by climbing the Masonic degree system. Each degree reveals more Masonic knowledge, which has been kept secret from the world. The first 3 degrees of Masonry are a part of the Blue Lodge and are called the Entered Apprentice, Fellowcraft, and Master Mason. Each of these degrees have a set of rituals a Mason has to participate in order to reach the next degree and earn the hidden knowledge. Once a Mason reaches the 3rd degree, which is the final degree in the Blue Lodge, they can pursue more knowledge in other sectors that are called Red Lodges. Once a Mason finishes the Master Mason initiation, they can go through the 4 Royal Arch degrees, which are Marked Master Mason, Past Master, Most Excellent Master, and Royal Arch Mason. After finishing the Royal Arch, a Mason can continue their Masonic journey by going through the Cryptic Masonic degrees, or skipping it and going straight to the Knights Templar degree system. The higher the man goes in Masonry, the closer they get to the top where the real secrets lie. One of the highest degree in the Scottish Rite sector of Masonry is the 33rd degree, where these elect members are revealed the truth about the knowledge they have been seeking. This very degree ties all the way back to the story of Adam and Eve and the fall of humanity. We know the story of Adam and Eve. It's engraved in our consciousness, but what people don't know is that it's connected to Masonry. Adam and Eve were instructed by God to stay away from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Eve was convinced by Lucifer to eat from the tree, as he promised her it would make her like a god, and Eve convinced Adam to do the same. Once they ate from the tree, they were now enlightened and were now as gods knowing good and evil. Masonry represents this very moment when man chooses to willingly disobey God and eat from the tree of knowledge, becoming their own god. Masonry is that forbidden knowledge of good and evil, and it's the reason why the Masons represent themselves with the Masonic checkerboard pattern that's found in every lodge. The Masons don't necessarily worship Lucifer, but they believe in what he represents. To the Freemasons, Lucifer freed humanity from God's chains, as they believe God wanted humanity to be innocent and unknowing. Lucifer came and guided humanity to the forbidden knowledge, which made humanity like gods. The Masons praise Lucifer because of this and have created an entire religion around it. Masonry is rooted in occult magic and alchemy, forms of ancient witchcraft that have been forbidden by God. Yet the Masons want the world to believe they worship God. Just like in the days of the Knights Templar, the Masons are hiding to protect themselves as they don't want history to repeat itself. Back in the Middle Ages, they hid by calling themselves the Army of God. Now, they call themselves the Brotherhood of God, claiming God is who they truly serve. when we know it's still Baphomet to this day? If you don't want to take my word for it, you can hear it from the horse's mouth, as Albert Pike, one of the leaders of Freemasonry, has admitted this long ago. Albert Pike was a prominent leader in Freemasonry, as he was given the title of the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council Scottish Rite Masonry. He was one of the few elect who knew the truth about Masonry, and he wrote all about it in his book called Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite Freemasons. Albert Pike is one of the most influential Freemasons to ever live. His book is required to be read in order to become a 33rd degree Mason. He was known as an author, poet, lawyer, jurist, and even a Confederate States Army general. Albert is deeply connected to American history and Masonic history. This is why he was given a statue in 1901 in Washington, D.C., which was eventually partially demolished in 2020 during the George Floyd riots. Pike is definitely one of the most important names in Masonry. He took the craft into the new age. While he is important to Masonry, the Masons love to deny his importance. They try their best to belittle his importance and his contributions to modern Masonry. This is because Albert Pike openly revealed that the Masons truly worship Lucifer. I have found undeniable proof of this coming directly from Albert Pike's very own book. Albert Pike confessed what I discovered years ago while researching Masonry, that Lucifer is truly the god of the lodge. Albert Pike even claims that Lucifer is the god of good, while God is the god of evil. Also, he states that Lucifer never fell from grace. Instead, he is the light of the world. This all goes back to what I explained at the beginning of this video. Masonry connects back to Adam and Eve with the serpent in the garden. The Masons are worshiping that serpent as it guided them to enlightenment. There are several times that Albert Pike admitted that not only was Masonry the study of Lucifer, but it was also the opposition of Christianity. He was quoted saying, "Strange and mysterious name to give the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. Is it he who bears the light, and with his splendors, intolerable blinds feebles, sensual or selfish souls? Doubt it not." Many Freemasons say this quote reveals nothing and that it was misquoted. The thing is, if you know anything about my work, you would know that I already have plenty more proof to back up my claims. Like I already mentioned, Albert Pike was a leader in Masonry, and he actually wrote a letter to the 23 Supreme Councils of the world, where he stated this: "That which we must say to the crowd is that we worship a God, but it is the God one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspector General, we say this. You may repeat this to the brethren of the 32nd, 31st, and 30th degrees. The Masonic religion should be by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintaining the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove cruelty, perfidy, and hatred of man, barbarism and repulsion for science, would Adonai and his priests calumniate him? Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately, Adonai is also God. For the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black, for the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary for light to serve as its foil, as the pedestal is necessary to the statue, and the brake to the locomotive. Thus the doctrine of Satan is heresy, and the true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal Adonai. But Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil." This is the very letter that many Masons try hard to ignore. This letter openly confesses Albert Pike's plans and what Masonry stands for. First, he revealed that the Masons not only worship Lucifer, but they think that he is the true God and that Jehovah is the God of evil. He clearly states that they deceive the masses by telling them they worship God, but never reveal which God it is. This perfectly explains why we see so many celebrities thanking God. Now you know exactly what God they are referring to. He also explains the principles of duality in Masonry. Good cannot exist without evil, which is not true, as everything God has created was good. The devil is who corrupted our world. He openly admits that the true philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer. One of the leaders of Masonry openly admitted Lucifer is the God the Masons follow. Albert Pike also said this in his Morals and Dogma book: "We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a great social catalysm, which in all its honor will show clearly to all nations the effect of absolute atheism. the origins of savagery and of most bloody turmoil. The people would be forced to defend themselves against the world minority of the world revolutionaries and will exterminate those destroyers of civilizations and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose spirits will be formed that moment with direction and leadership and anxious for an ideal, but without knowledge where to send its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. A manifestation will result from a general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. In this passage, Albert openly admits that the Freemasons are working against the church and atheism as they're trying to establish the worship of Lucifer. This is what the principles of the New World Order is, establishing a one-world government ruled by the ideologies of Lucifer. He openly admits that they must orchestrate a social catalysm to bring in the worship of Lucifer. This is in Albert Pike's book that the Masons love so much. How do they even try to deny that Masonry is satanic? One of the leaders literally admitted this himself. The thing is, lower degree Masons don't know the truth because they're kept from knowing it on purpose. In his book Morals and Dogma, he also admits this when he states, Masonry, like all the religions, all the mysteries, conceals its secrets from all except the adepts and the sages, or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled. The blue degrees are but the outer court of the portico of the temple. Part of the symbols are displayed there to initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretations. It is not intended that he shall understand them, but it is intended that he shall imagine he understands them. Their true explanation is reserved for the adepts, the princes of Masonry. Here, Albert Pike openly admits that not even the Mason members know the truth about Masonry, only the elect. He admits that they must keep the lower degrees of Masonry clueless about the truth. He also claims that the first degrees of Masonry are there to distract and mislead. This is why so many low-degree Masons claim they have nothing to do with Lucifer, because they themselves don't know the truth. Only the elect, only the ones they choose, know the truth. Albert Pike not only revealed all of this, but he also revealed that the Freemasons have 3 world wars planned that will bring in the new Masonic world order. In a letter written from Albert Pike to Giuseppe Mazzini, he states, the First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the powers of Caesar in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must be strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which will be then restrained and held in check until the time when we need it for the final social catalysm. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and the political Zionism mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. In this letter, Albert Pike revealed the plans for the New World Order. Plans that, if we take a look around, clearly appear to be unfolding right in front of our faces. He openly declares himself as a member of the Illuminati, which, like I already revealed, is a part of Masonry. It's important to note that they had this letter in display in a British library in the London Museum until 1977. This is another piece of proof that the Freemasons try to deny, claiming that there's no proof this letter was written by Albert Pike. We will not fall for these lies, as we know they're going to deceive us like Albert Pike stated. The first 2 wars Albert Pike spoke about have already happened. We see what's going on overseas right now, and now we know who's truly behind it. This is a plan in motion since the 1800s. For those still skeptical on whether Masonry follows Lucifer, you might believe it more from other prominent Masons. Mainly P. Hall, a prolific Masonic writer, stated this: when Masons learn that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mysteries of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onwards and upwards, he must prove his ability to properly apply this energy. Manly P. Hall, just like Albert Pike, admits their admiration for Lucifer. Another prominent Freemason by the name of Domenico Morgado stated, Palladism is necessarily a Luciferian rite. It's religious and Manichaean neo-Gnosticism teaching that the divinity is dual and that Lucifer is equal to Adonai, which Lucifer, the god of light and goodness, struggling for humanity against Adonai, the god of darkness and evil. Albert Pike had only specifically unveiled the dogmas of the high grades of all Masonries. For no matter what rite, the great architect of the universe is not the God worshipped by Christians. Domenico openly admits that the great architect that all the Masons follow isn't the same God that we the Christians worship. This is what Freemasons believe in. This is the truth. Those that practice in secret always have something to hide. The sad reality is that only the elect know the truth about Masonry. So many members join because of their fathers and grandfather who taught them Masonry was a brotherhood of God, only to never know that they truly worship the light bearer Lucifer. So when you hear somebody claim that the Freemasons are just a club of old rich men, show them this video, as this is undeniable proof that the Freemasons follow Lucifer. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.